Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Dennis Bragg. Jill Valley and Don Fisher are off tonight. Lake County Sheriff Don Bell says investigators were able to charge 2 contract U.S. postal workers with dealing in methamphetamine because of success in tracking a drug shipment. A Lake County Sheriff's deputy arrested the pair with the help of the U.S. Marshals Service and the U.S. Postal Inspector. A search warrant for that package was executed after it had been delivered to an address that wasn't on the label. During the search, deputies say they found half a pound of meth along with 10 guns and $1,000 in cash. 62-year-old Anthony Freshia and 47-year-old Mary Freshia were booked and released. Sheriff Don Bell tells us how they were able to track that package back to the pair.
One of my drug task force guys, deputies, was given a tip to check on this. We started checking with the assistant of the U.S. Postal Inspector. We checked the package, and so we just tracked the package.
A court case is pending in this. Sheriff Bell notes that other recent narcotics investigations conducted in conjunction with the Kalispell and Missoula Area Drug Task Force have resulted in the seizure of additional half pound of meth and 10 pounds of marijuana, all which was being trafficked from outside of the area. Authorities have released the name of the woman who died in a Thursday afternoon crash in Flathead County. Sheriff Chuck Curry says 82-year-old Doris Field of Whitefish died as a result of injuries sustained in that 2-vehicle crash between Columbia Falls and Whitefish. The wreck occurred near the intersection of Dillon Road when the vehicle Field was driving eastbound on the highway across the center line was hit by a westbound dump truck. Montana Highway Patrol continuing to investigate a cause for that accident. Light rain and snow are in the forecast to start off the weekend, but Sunday, fingers crossed, looking dry. Our Storm Tracker weather team says minor accumulation possible for the West Glacier region, where a winter weather advisory is in effect through tomorrow morning. For the latest, let's toss it over now to Chief Meteorologist Aaron Yost for her first forecast. Aaron?
Exactly right, and we actually just had the Flathead and Mission Valleys added to that winter weather advisory through 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, so heads up for some slick roadways across portions of northwest Montana. Hamilton earlier today, First Security Bank iCam showing you some of the wet roads. Many of us have continued to see wet and slushy road conditions across west central and some of southwest Montana, but in the northwest quarter of the state, a little snow-covered roadway action is keeping things slick up there. Winter weather advisories that I'd mentioned have been extended, and also including now the Flathead and Mission Valleys, getting reports of Highway 93 seeing some freezing rain right now south of Polson. I've got more details coming up.
And a lot of people have found this to be useful, using your mobile device and the KPAX Storm Tracker weather app to get forecasts from our Storm Tracker weather team. It's free in the Google Play or the Apple Store. In other news tonight, the family suing the Frenchtown School District over allegations of sexual misconduct against teacher Troy Basher will be getting some high-profile legal help. One of Basher's students complains school administrators allowed him to continue working despite accusations of sexual misconduct with students dating back to 2014. Now John Clune and Lauren Groth of the Denver law firm Hutchinson, Black & Cook will be joining the case against the Frenchtown School District and Superintendent Randy Klein. Clune has been involved with multiple high-profile lawsuits against Baylor University, Florida State, and the University of Oregon. He's currently working on a case against former San Francisco 49er football player Jared Hayne. The civil lawsuit against Frenchtown and the charges the two, both that and Klein, with violating Title IX rights of a student. Basher is not a defendant in the civil case, but is facing criminal charges in Missoula County. Montana is on its own when it comes to paying for the huge bill for last summer's wildfire season. Last year's wildfire season was the most expensive on record. In addition to the hundreds of millions of dollars in federal money spent to fight the summer blazes, the state of Montana, along with many local fire departments, spent tens of millions of dollars on fire operations. In fact, Montana blew through 2 years of fire funding in a single season, sending the state into a budget emergency. Now Montana Public Radio is reporting the federal government has turned down the state's request for $44 million for emergency relief to help pay for those firefighting operations. FEMA did previously award $11 million for some of the initial fire costs, but it's expected to take 2 to 3 years for some of those payments to come through. Ravalli County's experiment with a 5-member Board of Commissioners is coming to an end, and although much of that decade-plus time was filled with acrimony, the phase is ending on a harmonious note. 2 of the 3 current commissioners opt to step aside. With all the county incumbents filing for re-election this week, the big question was how the current 5 commissioners would approach the upcoming voter-mandated change to drop to 3 county commissioners next year. Ever since that change was approved in 2016, the anticipation was that Doug Schallenberger and Ray Hawk would call it after one 4-year term, leaving Jeff Burrows, Greg Chilcott, and newcomer and former Sheriff Chris Hoffman to serve the 3 new districts and fend off any challengers. Schallenberger says for him, the decision to step aside was an age thing.
Jeff does a good job and he's young. We're going to be switching to 3, and for me, it's just a good time to retire and move on.
You know, I ran, mostly to unseat the guy that was in there, and I accomplished that, and so had they gone on with 5 commissioners, of course, I would have run again, not a problem. But I didn't feel comfortable running against Greg. He's a good friend of mine and does a good job, He's top of the line as far as I'm concerned.
In fact, that mutual respect is a 180-degree turn from where the board was 4 years ago. Following a final blow-up over the appointment and dismissal of Treasurer Valerie Stamey, voters are ready for a change, and by and large, that's happened.
I feel good about that. We've had the 3 years I've been here, it's been very cordial, very good. Everything we've got along, and everything was good. Got a lot done.
I feel good about being here the 4 years. It's been good for me. I think I did what I hoped to do. I mean, for me, it was more of a common sense, more of a stabilization. It wasn't like I brought a ton of knowledge or something new. I didn't have an agenda that I had to get done. It was just try to make good decisions and vote in that direction.
Among the other incumbents filing this week were Ravalli County Sheriff Steve Holton and the man who used to hold that job, Perry Johnson, filing to run for Justice of the Peace. A tiny house that took a huge amount of work is ready for its new owner. MTN's Lauren Heiser shows us that the home was built by a class of more than 20 kids over the course of 3 years.
The Missoula College completed the construction of their very own tiny house last spring. Dennis Danicke, an associate professor and carpentry program director, said it was something that they probably won't do again.
It took 3 years to build it. It's surprisingly, because you only do it in classes, and so you got an hour here and an hour there. And some graduate students started it and they graduated. They didn't get to finish it.
There was only space for 1 or 2 students to work, while the rest would have to watch.
I'm really proud of the students. They've done a fine job on this. They worked hard. They learned a lot.
The home is around 160 square feet and comes complete with a full kitchen, smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, a furnace, a bathroom, and a loft that could be used as storage or as sleeping space. At first, there was no interest from the public in buying the home, but within the last few days, people from all over Montana have started showing interest in purchasing the building. Right now, the asking price is right around $30,000. All of that money is set to go back into the Sustainable Construction Technology Program. In the future, the class will focus on building modular single-family homes for lower to middle-income families. Lauren Heiser, MTN News, Missoula.
Danicke tells us they hope the modular homes they plan on constructing will give more students the opportunity to work and provide cost-effective housing for Missoulians.
Salute the Badge is brought to you by Montana Railing, supporting the Main Street of Montana for 30 years.
Missoula Police Officer J.C. Denton sees a lot of darkness in his work, but when he's not on shift, you can find him chasing the light. MTN's Augusta McDonald explains in this week's Salute the Badge segment.
It started out as a dream to explore an underwater world.
I'm a dive master, so I started doing underwater photography and videography. I really enjoyed it, bought all the equipment for it, and then decided, hey, let's try shooting out of the water.
It became both a passion and a business.
It's nice creating something beautiful and so different than the job I'm in right now, and actually having people thank you. Unfortunately, we see people at their worst at being a police officer, so I try to do the opposite with my photography stuff, is capture people's best, and each person has something beautiful about them.
Denton began to give back to the community by donating his time and talent to charities.
Like the Montana Hope Project, I've worked with Special Olympics, Chicks for Chaps. Montana Hope Project is an amazing organization, and this is going on my 3rd year working with them. I've actually got to know the families and the kids, and there's just nothing more rewarding than like working with these kids, getting to know them, seeing the smiles, and it's awesome.
Augusta McDonald, MTN News, Missoula.
Denton is the Street Crimes and K-9 Unit Sergeant at the Missoula Police Department and has been there for almost 16 years. Coming up next, Erin has a look at our weekend as active conditions stick around, at least to start with. Stay with us for her extended forecast coming up here on MTN.